Some people love their birthdays. They plan weeks ahead, parties, messages, attention, and then there are others who treat their birthday like it's just another Tuesday. No celebration, no post. Sometimes they don't even tell anyone. And here's the uncomfortable part most people never ask. It's not because they forgot. It's not because they don't care. And it's definitely not because they're boring. It's psychological. Because the way someone treats their birthday reveals how they see themselves, how they process attention, and how they learned to survive emotionally. This video isn't about cake or candles. It's about identity. And by the end of this, you might realize why you, or someone you know, quietly skips the one day the world expects them to celebrate. From the outside, skipping your birthday looks simple. I don't like attention. It's just another day. Birthdays don't matter to me. But psychology tells us something deeper is happening. For many people, birthdays don't feel safe. They feel exposing. A birthday puts you at the center of attention. Without control, people ask questions. Expectations appear. Emotions surface. And if someone grew up in an environment where attention was unpredictable, conditional, or overwhelming, their brain learns something very specific. Visibility equals vulnerability. So instead of celebrating, they minimize. Instead of leaning in, they withdraw. Psychologists call this emotional self-protection. When someone has experienced disappointment around important days in the past, missed birthdays, forgotten promises, or celebrations that turned into arguments, the brain adapts. It lowers expectations to avoid pain. Over time, the person doesn't say, "I'm scared of being disappointed." They say, "I don't care about birthdays." But the behavior isn't apathy, it's armor. There's another layer most people miss. Birthdays force reflection. They remind you of time passing, of where you are versus where you thought you'd be. For highly self-aware or self-critical people, birthdays can feel less like a celebration and more like a performance review. What did I achieve this year? What didn't I become? And if someone ties their self-worth to progress, success, or control, birthdays can trigger quiet dissatisfaction. So skipping the day becomes a way to avoid that internal confrontation. Then there's identity. Some people don't celebrate birthdays because they don't like being defined by a number, a label, or a moment. They value internal progress more than external milestones. To them, celebrating feels performative, almost fake, especially in a world where social media turns birthdays into content, stories, posts, forced smile. For these people, skipping birthdays isn't sadness, it's resistance. They don't want validation on a schedule. They don't want affection because a calendar told someone to care. But here's where it gets darker. Research in psychology shows that people who suppress celebrations often learned early in life to stay emotionally low profile. They learned that being noticed invited pressure, responsibility, or criticism, so they became invisible on purpose. Birthdays break invisibility. They put a spotlight on someone who learned to survive by staying out of it. So the avoidance isn't about the day, it's about what the day represents. Exposure. There's also the control factor. A birthday is one of the few days where attention comes whether you ask for it or not. For people who value emotional control, this feels uncomfortable. Messages arrive, calls happen. People expect reaction, gratitude, energy, and if someone already feels emotionally overloaded, a birthday feels like an obligation, not a gift. Now let's talk about the misconception. Many assume people who skip birthdays are cold, detached, or antisocial. That's wrong. In reality, many of them feel deeply, too deeply. They notice everything. They overthink interaction. They replay conversation, so they simplify life wherever they can. No birthday means fewer expectations, fewer emotional variables, fewer chances to be misunderstood. Interestingly, studies on introversion and emotional regulation show that people who value inner stability often avoid emotional spikes, even positive ones, because every high comes with a drop. Every celebration comes with an after effect. And for people who've learned to manage their emotions carefully, neutrality feels safer than excitement. Another important factor is independence. Some people skip birthdays because they don't want to feel dependent on external validation. They want their sense of worth to come from internal standards, not applause. To them, celebrating feels like outsourcing self-worth, and whether you agree or not, psychologically, that mindset often develops in people who had to grow up fast. But here's the key distinction. Skipping birthdays isn't inherently healthy or unhealthy. It depends on the reason. If it comes from clarity, self-knowledge, and choice, it's strength. If it comes from fear, avoidance, or unresolved emotional patterns, it's a signal. And most people never stop to ask which one it is. The most revealing part isn't whether someone celebrates their birthday, it's how they talk about it. Calm confidence usually means conscious choice. Defensive jokes or indifference often hide discomfort. Psychology is less about behavior and more about motivation. So next time you see someone treat their birthday like a normal day, don't assume they don't care. They might care more than you think. They might just care differently. Or they might have learned that expecting nothing hurts less than hoping for something. And tell me in the comment, do you celebrate your birthday or do you quietly skip it? I read every comment.